Minnesota in probably 20 years.
Bring gas. Welcome to Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.
Okay, I feel like the show was starting to panic a little bit, like late last week, early this week here. There was a little bit of like, even though we all kind of vowed, especially Sports Dad, like, listen, hey, let's just give this some time, and then all of a sudden they start playing dodgeball on the court, and Anthony Edwards is calling guys out, and we all kind of teetered there. But wow, back-to-back games now. You know, like Lakers and Clippers were coming off some like packed schedules leading in and back-to-backs and stuff, but that's the NBA. And the Wolves hold the Lakers and the Clippers in back-to-back games to 80 points defensively. It's the first time, Sports Dad and Dex, in 19 years, the Wolves have held an opponent to 80 or fewer points in back-to-back games. And I'll tell you, 19 years ago, a much different NBA where like every game was 86 to 78. It seemed like. Yeah. So, is it Wolves back? Are the Wolves back?
If the Wolves can play nice, they definitely are. And if Gobert plays like he has the last two games, I think Rudy Gobert's play the last two games has been the story. I really
triple
do.
Double watch last night for a while there.
And if you watched it, his defensive intensity, like whatever was bothering him or his pouting, is gone. He's having fun. He's making no-look passes. He's fronting the ball constantly. He's not even allowing his guy to get the basketball now. Like, I don't know if he got talked to. I don't know if he just reacted to what Ant said, which, by the way, I still think had a major impact, because since then, this team has basically started to take basketball seriously. I don't know if you guys saw the halftime right before the second half started. Michael Norrie, the Wolves assistant coach, was talking on what is now FanDuel Sports North. And he had the greatest line of all time. He basically said, we're 21 games in, and we're starting to learn how to play nice in the sandbox now. That was
I love how they're acknowledging it.
Right. But I feel like
it doesn't have to be weird. I
feel like Ant brought this all out. And it was calculated, and I think it worked. Everybody, it's almost like that coming out took a load off everyone's shoulders. And since then, it's been like, okay, how do we make this work instead of how do we passive-aggressively piss and moan privately about this?
This almost like blends into like human psychology here. And I think it was 20 years ago, Flip Saunders, 15 years ago, whenever it was, Flip Saunders was quoted as saying, the truth cannot be controversial. If we just deal in reality and truth and no one's trying to hide something or different agendas or passive aggressive. And the minute that Anthony Edwards went nuclear with the media in front of him and said, yeah, we literally can't have a conversation with each other behind the scenes without getting pissed off or offended. We can't forget about like what the other team is trying to do or how they view us. Internally, we are soft. We can't communicate. We got all these problems. And once he throws that out there, there's kind of two ways it could go. You could either have everyone say, peace out, screw this, I'm out of here, right? Or my contract's coming up. Or you can all take a deep breath and deal in truth. And the fact that it's not just Ant, like other guys, Mike Conley coming out too. Mm-hmm. Let's all just acknowledge, hey, there's some new guys here. There's some key guys that are gone. This thing's kind of weird, right? Like let's talk about it. Let's acknowledge the truth, the elephant in the room. And once you put it out there, it almost like pops the bubble of tension and stress. And there was a moment last night. I mean, this was just an absolute cooking of the Clippers. It was like a 40-point game at one point. And Anthony Edwards is coming back to the bench after, I think he knocked down a big three, and then Clippers call timeout. And Ant comes skipping back to the bench. And Joe Ingles stops him. It's a 40-point game. Joe Ingles stops Anthony Edwards before he gets to the seats for the huddle. And he starts like giving him some X's and O's direction. Like, hey, I don't know what they were talking about. But Ant could have easily kind of blown. First of all, Joe Ingles could have felt like, there's no way I could like, if I as a veteran saw something, there's no way I could like pull him aside. He felt comfortable doing so. And then Anthony Edwards sat there with like, oh yeah, an agreeable look on his face. Yep. Those are the types of conversations that the Wolves thrived on last year. Mm-hmm. So I think it's great. The bounce back. There's obviously 2 games against the Warriors this weekend that are going to be key. But what a breath of fresh air watching that defense. Josh Minot with a career game last night, playing limited minutes, not just garbage time minutes, but like he came in and played like, but like 15 of those were non-garbage time.
No, I know.
You know,
it's great.
It's huge.
Yeah, they just needed consecutive, I think, arse kickings like this. I mean, the fact that the Lakers were coming in, on the heels of a back-to-back and clearly were gassed, and, the Clippers, they were able to do have a similar result against them. I think they needed something like this. And I think with the collection of Edwards and everyone coming together, they recognize that they're obviously a better team than this. And, I'm sure Chris Finch is also tactically maybe behind the scenes, because we've also been kind of critical of where's Finchy in all this. Like, are you going to step up and kind of lead these guys out of this rut? And he's kind of mostly, from at least on screen or on quotes, has deferred that to a lot of the players. But they needed consecutive wins like this. And to our points on hottest takes yesterday, I think even if you split these two with Golden State and you come back home to play the Lakers again, right? Or are they still in LA when they play the Lakers next week?
No, it's home. It's home. Lakers come back to Minneapolis next week in another weird scheduling quirk.
God, I don't even want to figure out why that is. But regardless, if you split against Golden State, you'll take that and you come back home. Like, I think things are obviously getting back on track.
If I may, in a positive way, recklessly speculate, since it's a
do you want some
speculation Thursday. Sure. I don't think I need a ton here, but I do think it's worth discussing. I wonder if the public Ant meltdown led to a lot of something else. It just feels like everybody, including Finchy, there's just been a complete seismic shift in the demeanor. And Gobert again, the last two games, he's playing like he's 25 years old. Ant is not shooting well, and it doesn't matter. That's an important thing. It's just like everybody. Julius Randle comes out last night, scores 16 points in the first quarter. I think he scored all his points in the first half. Finch, Phil, to your point, and I don't think that this should be slept on, he puts Minot in for Ant at the end of the first quarter, which has happened before. Now, ordinarily, that's it, and then Josh comes out. But instead, Josh goes in, provides a big spark. Finchy says, okay, cool, you're staying in. Feels like 2.5 weeks ago, I don't know that takes place. So it just feels like whatever Ant did might have led to more. But yes, this is the talent. But the interesting thing is, I think what we're seeing is, and it's not surprising, the talent of this team when it's really showing is A, cohesiveness, big time, and B, it starts defensively.
They're back up to like 6th in defensive net rating, by
Correct.
the way, after this last week.
Well, yeah.
In fact, I think they're 3rd in defensive net rating over like the last 14 or 15 games if you take off the first maybe 2.5 weeks of the season. And just on Minot real quick. So he winds up with the 21 minutes based on the fact that Luka Garza played 8 minutes marvelously, I might add. The best garbage time player in the league. He's either taking charges or jacking threes. Garzabage. So let's subtract the 8 minutes of Garzabage time or Cigarza time. And Josh Minot was out there for 13 actual minutes. Yeah. That is perfect. I don't need 25, but it can't be 0. And when he's out there, especially when you're putting him with some of the other players that know what they're doing, he can just kind of be an energizer bunny. Just go fill the gaps in energy, rebounding, go stand in the corner. You're going to have to knock down some of those threes. I think he was 0 for like 8 or something coming in on 3-pointers. He knocks down a 3-pointer. But you looked up after like 3 minutes, and Josh Minot had 5 or 6 points, 3 rebounds, 2 or 3 assists in just 3 or 4 minutes to start that thing, his shift out there. So, yeah, and Dillingham, we'll see what happens when he comes back from the ankle injury. But if out of all of this, they can figure out some chemistry, how to gel on defense, maybe how to casually reduce Julius Randle's minutes, which they have. He has not played 30 minutes the last couple nights, another blowout hit.
The Mackey plan starting to come together just a little bit.
A little less Julius, a little less Jaden, and a little more Nas, Dante, and Nikhil lineup combinations, and then fill out 9 and 10 in that rotation with some Josh Minot when it makes sense and some Rob Dillingham. And if you can come out of all of this through 20 games, I think, at the beginning of the season, if you would have said, hey, they made this crazy trade How would you feel if they were 11-10 after the first 21 games? Or would you rather take what's behind door number 2? I think I would have taken, you know what? I'll take 11-10 as they sort out what the hell this thing is and what their rotations are and go from here. I think I would have taken it.
Yeah, I mean, I was absolutely fine until the bickering started. And then my question is, okay, how are you going to stop this? Because, like, you don't have time for this. But to their credit, seemingly they have now. And if you stop it, I think you're fine. We also shouldn't sleep on the fact that they're going to play Golden State on Friday and Sunday, correct?
Yep.
Golden State, 1, has lost 5 consecutive games, and 2, they're going to be coming off a back-to-back themselves on Friday, which the Wolves won't be. So there's a
nice little schedule thing.
There's a very good chance that you can split there. And if the Wolves continue to play defensively the way that they're currently playing, I think a split is a very realistic option. Now we are starting to see, despite the 3 consecutive wins, and this is where you can't get too far behind, and I don't think that the Wolves are if they can continue to play like this. We are starting to see this conference is just so tough. Like, the Wolves still are not in a play-in position as of this morning. Yeah, right, but I'm saying you've won 3 consecutive games. If you win 3 consecutive games in the East, you're like a top 4 team by now.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing about, you don't have a lot of time to dawdle here now. Like, you're going to have to take this thing and basically run a little bit more. But with the way that they're playing, that's not asking a ton either.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And maybe it's just the way that the Clippers are they got some injury stuff. Former Gopher Amir Coffey is playing a bunch of minutes. And Chris Dunn, former Timberwolf Chris Dunn, was out there for like 25 minutes.
Cam Christie?
Cam Christie played last night.
So, I'm not sure about that roster there, but they're sitting there 14-10 even after a couple Wolves losses in the 7 spot, and they're competitive. Dude, James Harden, that guy can have some clunkers. He can still turn back the clock once in a while, but man, you look up in the third quarter and he's like 0 for 8, just clanking everything.
Didn't he have a terrible game against the Wolves, I want to say, at Target Center last season? Just
it's like 1 for
awful
10
game
or something.
Oh.
Yeah. It was bad, man. But yeah, you look above the Wolves in the standings, because you guys said it already. They're 11th right now. They'd be out of the play-in still. Well, the team right behind them is a feisty Sacramento team that everyone expected to be at least, they've got some flaws and they have a hard time defending, but like that's a good team that's hard to beat. And they're 12th right now in the Western Conference. Yeah. And then you look above, okay, the Spurs, well, they've got one of the best young players in the world in Wemby. The Lakers have been really clunky lately, but if they can get LeBron some rest, the Nuggets are sitting 11-8, and then Warriors, Suns, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Rockets, Thunder. Like, you're going to have to earn your way back up that ladder, I guess is what I'm saying. But if all of a sudden now their defense is locked in, then there's another thing here that we should get into in terms of Anthony Edwards' leadership, a story that came out yesterday. So we'll touch on that in a second here. But, boy, Bricksworth is a great spot, Wolves fans, in the North Loop, the OG location in Burnsville, too, by the way. But the Bricksworth North Loop location is a perfect spot, just a couple blocks away from Target Center, to gather before home games and after home games, or just gather to watch with some friends in a away game on one of the big TVs. These dry rub wings, I'm telling you. So my wife and I went into Bricksworth like a year and a half ago, and we looked at we'd never had food there before. And so they've got all kinds of great beer options and drink options, the Nas Reed Hazy IPA. But we looked at their dry rub wing selection, and we were like, wait a second. Does that say Cool Ranch Doritos dry rub wings? Yes, it does. They've got really creative, fun dry rub wings, Detroit-style pizza, Bricksworth in the North Loop, super close to Target Center, great for home and away games, so check it out. Also nearby Target Center, Element Hotel. Just down the street, a couple blocks away, a Marriott Bonvoy Hotel, very walkable to not only basketball games, but some of downtown Minneapolis' finest, most popular bars and restaurants, like Bricksworth. Garage parking on site, just $25 a day. So if you've got a group of friends, maybe you're even coming in from out of town to watch a game or just to hang out in the Twin Cities, great city views. The free breakfast goes above and beyond. Breakfast tacos, avocado toast, sweet potato hash or pancakes. Element Hotel, just down the street from Target Center. We're offering a 15% room rate discount for all Flagrant Howls listeners, when you go to scorenorth.com/element, a 15% room rate discount at scorenorth.com/element. So Chris Finch was on KFXN radio on your FM dial, and he said Anthony Edwards on Thanksgiving was in the gym with teammates. So what'd you guys do on Thanksgiving? Well, Anthony Edwards was, I don't know, maybe avoiding family like some people, but for sure getting some work in the gym. And quote from Chris Finch, he was basically leading a private pep rally for the team, cheering guys on through individual workouts and building confidence in some of the guys who've been struggling. What do you make of that? Anthony Edwards, hey guys, come on in here, Thanksgiving. Let's get in here. Let's work out some of the kinks. Let's build some chemistry.
I make of it that he correctly sees himself as the captain of this team. And I also think it's important too. You know, we all think, and I don't think we're wrong, he got incredibly valuable experience from like workout standpoint, playing standpoint, from the Olympic experience over the summer. But let's also acknowledge that perhaps the most important effect on Ant through that whole thing was how to lead. Like, you're watching these guys who are, who have led teams, right? Superstar players. They know what that looks like. And unless he was blowing smoke, and I don't believe that he was, it was very clear that Ant went to school on how these guys operate. So I make of this that despite the fact he's currently, for him, in a shooting slump, I think Ant Edwards' work in the past week has been his most important work of the entire season.
Yeah. They responded to him.
Yeah.
Right? You find out.
Or he started a dialogue. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that he also then, he doesn't just bitch and moan. He bitches and then he goes in and leads a workout, and then it's like, oh, you're gonna back this up, dude. Like think about, it's the difference between the person that you work with who just constantly might be good at what they do, but they complain, and then you're like, okay. But then if they're gonna work overtime to be like, okay, this is what we have to do.
Yes.
I think that leaves a big impact on you as a fellow employee.
Are you just we sometimes joke behind the scenes here at SKOR North? Are we just polluting the air, or are we solving a problem? And it would be one thing if Anthony Edwards was just like polluting the air and bitching out, airing dirty laundry, which sometimes needs to happen for you to point out what the problem is. But then, all right, the most important step is, how are we solving the problem? And yeah, you nailed it. Like, if we've talked across all of our podcasts and radio shows for years about some of the fake leaders that come in and out of locker rooms and clubhouses, where it's really easy to get in front of a microphone and point out the problems around here. But it's a lot harder to roll up your sleeves and start solving the problems around here and bringing people together as a leader and do it in a way that's not superficial, or to do it in an authentic way. And I think they view him as an authentic leader that they will listen to and follow. And he's not even fully formed yet, because he's still kind of immature himself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the fact that they still listen to him and follow his, he'll still jack up dumb shots in a game like that last night, and he still has some things to rein in.
Absolutely.
But they clearly responded to him, and he clearly went beyond just pointing out a problem.
I also think that there's an important conversation to be had lots of times about what guys can do as far as their intelligence on the court, in a locker room, and then outside. Because I think Ant is, as far as a human being goes, probably, I mean, he's a kid still. But as far as a player goes, I liken it to guys that, to use a term I do quite frequently, have an it factor. And it's not just in how they play, it's how they lead. Case in point, Torrey Hunter had this, and he had it for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you guys recall, when Torrey came here, he starts, the post game, sets up the dance party thing in the clubhouse, right? Well, yeah, that seems silly and stuff, but it works. It galvanizes things. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just certain guys, because you can't just say, you can't walk into a room and say, I'm the guy here, I'm going to lead. They'll roll their eyes and say, bleep you. Yeah. But what you can do is you can show examples of how you are going to lead. And if you're a star player, you're going to get that respect. I firmly believe, to do cross-sport comparison here, J.J. McCarthy has that. He's got some type of it factor. I can't really explain it. And he's a kid. And if he walks into a room, who knows, at a convention, they might be like, oh, whatever, you're a kid. But if you walk into a locker room, so like, I think that Ant has something that is hard to quantify, but on the floor and in the building, he's got that. And that is an incredibly important thing. And not to rip him, but sorry, folks, Cat didn't have that. Guys liked Cat, I think, enough, but he didn't have that.
Yeah, he would, he would say a lot of things, but
He
he wasn't necessarily viewed as like, follow me
Well,
to freedom.
right.
I don't think he was viewed quite that way.
Yeah,
he's
and
killing it in New York offensively right now, and
yeah, that's awesome. But I'm just saying, as a captain, like if you're a captain, right? Like here to me is the most disingenuous post game thing, and Cat did this for years, and it's done by guys who fake lead. It's all on me. It's all on me. It's all my. I got to get this turned around. Do you know how eye rolling, how nauseating that statement is?
Yeah, because it's not true. It's
Correct.
okay. It's okay that it's not true.
And you can include yourself, but
Yeah.
you got, but when Ant came out that night after the Kings loss, and again, I think it was calculated, but brilliantly. And he looked at the reporters and said, you want, like, what was the phrase? Do you want to know?
Do you want to know why we suck?
Yeah. For why we suck. That's the start of calculated, basically, okay, I'm going to try to fix this.
Yeah. Lineup combinations update for you here. 4-man lineup combinations. The 4-man combination of Nikhil, DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, and Gobert on the court at the same time is a plus 30 points per 100 possessions this season.
Yeah.
They literally have any combination of Nikhil, DiVincenzo, and Naz, and then you can kind of mix and match around them, is a lineup of death. And it's 20, and we're 21 games into the season. So the 5-man starting combo after last night is now much more in the positive too. So the 5-man starters of Conley, Anthony Edwards, Gobert, McDaniels, and Julius Randle, a plus 8 points per 100 possessions. So at least you're getting out in front. But it's like kind of, can the starters just hold the front, be tied or up a little bit, or just not be down by 10? And then it's the second unit and some of those combinations that come in and absolutely feast on the opposing team's bench to this point in the season.
I think a huge building block on this whole process was what Naz decided to do defensively Friday night against the Clippers here. He dives for that ball, keeps it in inbounds. I believe that was Wolves' ball regardless, but the fact is he's like, screw it. We're keeping this play alive. It's stuff like that.
He had that big chase down block last night too, just like
Exactly.
those in a 30-point game or whatever.
Correct.
He's just like chase down blocking.
It's stuff like that because he hasn't necessarily had the best shooting season, but what's he doing? He's doing everything he can possibly do to impact games.
Yep. So all right, Wolves back. Wolves back. There's never an ounce of panic on this show.
Hold on a second. I got it's too late to hunt for the cup, but I still have a towel.
Oh yeah, they've been mathematically eliminated. Unfortunately, we did fill that schedule though with a couple of games.
That's why you play the Lakers so quickly. Can we fix that? By the way, I don't want to see the Lakers back here.
Who did we they get them again, right? Who did they fill it with? Yeah, Lakers again.
And Spurs at the Spurs.
Oh, that's why they're coming back.
They filled it last year with Spurs here.
Yes, that's why the Lakers are coming back. It's not a schedule quirk. It's Lakers and then at San Antonio.
Yeah, I just don't need to see the team back here. I'm sorry. And
the Lakers,
LeBron. Yeah,
dude, I'll see LeBron again. Let's do it.
You know what?
It's
if I'm LeBron,
James.
I'm probably going to duck out on this game.
I don't know. He wants to play all 82.
Dude, it was so painful to watch that game on Monday.
Night.
I can't imagine the poor dad, right, who takes his young son. He's like, I grew up watching LeBron. He's still playing. We're going to share a special moment here. And the kid's like, oh, Daddy, I can't wait to see LeBron play. And then you see that clunker, and the kid's probably like, this guy sucks, Dad.
I know you hate it when athletes go over the age cliff, but I still appreciate the greatness that is LeBron James. Get one more shot a week from Friday to bring your kids. And
that was so painful. Don't do it. Save your money, Dad. Save your money.
All right, this is a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast here. Flagrant Howls.